Okay, let's go ahead and design another one. This one we're going to do as quick as we can. I'm going to go ahead and add a quick case here. This is just an inlay. There's no mesial distal occlusal or mesial distal buccal or lingual extensions. So let me pull myself back up. Add a quick case. We'll see if we can do this lightning fast. Single restoration, inlay, bigeneric individual, Ivoclar, Empress CAD number 19, acquisition. Let's get our camera on. I'm only going to image the lower arch. Generally, if I'm doing a really simple inlay or onlay, the time that you would spend imaging the opposing arch and the buccal scan takes as much time as it would for you to adjust it intraorally like you would adjust a composite resin after you placed it. So oftentimes, I'm not saying this is every time, but oftentimes for a simple inlay like this one, I will not do any opposing or buccal bite scanning. Like I said before, if you consider the time that it would take for you to scan the opposing arch, scan the buccal scan, allow the computer to integrate them, that much time, you can spend the same amount of time adjusting after the fact like you would adjust if you'd put it in occlusal resin, which ideally should be minimal. All right, so let's get these positioned. We're going to set up our margin. And again, I apologize, some of these cavo surface margins are not really well defined. It's difficult sometimes for the viewer to see exactly where that cavo surface margin is. Plastic teeth, as you're well aware, are difficult to prepare. Let me edit that margin. I don't like this over here. I'm going to bring this around just a little bit. Get a little less of a flange. You can see we have draw, no problem. If I were to lean this over, we'd have some undercut. That's not an issue here, obviously. Let's get a proposal. Usually the computer is spot on with these. Also remember what your parameter settings are. As we discovered from the last restoration, our parameter settings for the inlay particular design is 1.5 millimeters of thickness. So in my experience, if we're using Emax, we can go to a millimeter of thickness. So let me adjust this just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and use the anatomic shape tool to drag the whole thing up a little bit. We don't want to make it to the point where it's bulbous. You can see how this line angle doesn't track there. So let me pull that back down. I'm going to go check these parameters. Down here it should say about 1500. Let's pull that down to the bare minimum for Emax and for Saltra Duo, but I wouldn't recommend using less than 1.2 millimeters or so for Empress or Vita, a lucite or a feldspathic porcelain. So we'll get this all designed. And again, just like a composite resin, I'm going to adjust this intraorally after it's placed. That's one of the reasons why some of those hybrid composites, the CEREC, Vita Anamic, and the Lava Ultimate, are so great with regard to the design. Ouch.
Remember when I hit myself and I said ow?
Yeah. Nice. So that took, what, 4 minutes? So there's a design for you. Note here that the sprue is going to be on the intaglio surface. This makes for a pain in the neck when you're doing a simple inlay like this. It's because the machine has to have something to hold that inlay on. So oftentimes I'm going to move, I right-clicked there, I'm going to move the sprue to some place that may lend itself to a little easier sprue removal. And let's put it here on whatever surface that is. As long as it's not too close. Let's see if it'll let me move it. Yeah, it's not going to move the sprue. I wanted to try to move the sprue down here so that if I removed a little bit up here, it's not going to cause any issues for the margin, but we'll leave it right there where it is. The flatter the surface, the better with regard to sprue placement in my experience. Makes it easier to see that little wedge of sprue that's there. Yeah, I'm not liking that either. That's better. Oops. We'll leave that. Nope. 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 There we go. Okay, now I just got to slide this in. You notice we got some red over here, so that's the restoration coming out of the block. All right, let's get this milled. I've already got a block loaded. Pretty exciting stuff, right? Oh, goodness.